Good morning, everybody. It is an honor to be here with you all in Washington to discuss the importance, as we've heard, of centering youth voice and agency in research and policy. I'd like to first thank Rebecca Winthrop, of course, for the invitation to speak, as well as Jennifer O'Donoghue for their kind communication in advance. In the interest of time, precision, and simplicity, I aim to keep my remarks as brief as possible. We've gathered here today because intergenerationality is at a crossroads. More than 40 countries around the world are affected by crisis. At least 60 more countries receive developmental assistance to restore, strengthen, and reform their education systems. And in the United States, as we all know quite well, schools and universities are facing the worst crackdowns on academic freedom in half a century. In the face of internal conflict and international instability, young people, as we all know, are told that the world's problems will be theirs to solve in the future and theirs alone. And yet, when we raise our voices on campuses and in city streets to protest injustices and propose solutions, we are told again to fall silent and to return to our assigned place. Agency is defined as the capacity of an actor to act in a given environment. Under the present model, youth agency, it is unfortunate to say, is structurally unsupported, at times actively suppressed, and most often forgotten. That is why nearly 3 years ago, more than 100 youth-led NGOs from 40 crisis-affected countries stood in solidarity and called on humanitarian funds, development partnerships, and United Nations agencies to democratically include young people in decision-making structures across the humanitarian development and peace nexus. In other words, we're calling on humanitarian workers, development specialists, and United Nations officials to enfranchise us in the structures that govern and shape education systems worldwide. Since the announcement of that call to action, student unions from all 7 continents and across 135 countries have joined the call, representing millions of students from around the world. I'm here today to amplify the call of the youth democracy movement and to propose a definition of youth agency that centers the leadership of self-organized young people in the shared and vital interest of transcending generational gridlock. In humanitarian situations, youth-led NGOs ought to be included in every step of the humanitarian cycle, from the formation of the program to its implementation. In developing education systems, student unions similarly ought to be included in every step of the reform process, from the design of the education sector plan to its evaluation. And naturally, I might begin to sound like a broken record, repeatedly using the word inclusion, but in stable societies like the United States, at the school and university level, school boards, college subcommittees, and boards of trustees ought to be considered incomplete without the participation of an elected student representative, especially as academic freedom comes under attack. And at the global level, the board of directors in education partnerships must include a democratically elected student representative, given the continuous link between global dialogue structures and country-level processes in the reform of education systems worldwide. Now, to support this definition of youth agency, education systems may remain rooted in local contexts, but they must also become responsive to the voices of young people today. To actualize this definition of youth agency, the content of curricula may remain reliant on the unique inheritances of history, but curricula must also change to become relevant to the aspirations and interests of students coming of age in a rapidly changing world. Most importantly, by this definition, youth agency itself is redefined and expanded as intergenerational. Now, it brings me immense hope to participate in a symposium hosted by the Center for Universal Education to address a room of educated, active, and resourceful experts on the cutting edge of global education today. Because youth agency cannot be sustained without you, without an intergenerational movement of researchers and practitioners working alongside and in dialogue with youth leaders to establish the urgency and the necessity of intergenerational action to transform education systems worldwide. Thank you.